Okay, what you're seeing here, and you're not going to see my face in the image, but what you're seeing here is just a photograph, okay? But I wanted to show you that when I'm doing stuff, I want to make sure that I'm getting as much detail in there as possible. Because when I pull this off, I don't want to have to question, what my information is. And when I'm talking about detail, I'm talking about every little tiny swinging little shadow line, everything. You can see, I don't know if you can see this, but I did a line here. I see this shadow line here going up to this one here. Every little nuance that makes this coyote a coyote, I want to make sure I get there in the transfer process. Because see, what I don't do is I don't do a lot of shading. I want that to be done in color. I want it to be done with, with my work rather than trying to copy a photograph. So what I'm doing here is basically that, just transferring down all these little things. So, and the more you do this, the more you're able to see. And then you're going to determine what can be left out, what has to be put in. And I move around the painting the same way I paint. I move around that painting because I don't want to get too bored where I get lazy and start doing stuff. So I'll move around, and you can see I got pin line on here. At least you can, hopefully you can see that. And what you're going to see is, as I'm doing this, I'm just basically creating just a line sketch of the animal in the for the painting. And I don't know if you can actually see that, so I'm going to have to move here. Yeah, you can see it a little bit. And I'm going to come in here. And you kind of want to go slow. You don't want to go too fast, but you want to make sure you get as much information as there as possible. And I call it information rather than anything else because that's all it is. It's not, well, this is fur because you see it's fur. But when I say information, it means I'm trying to get as much, what was that? I got a bug flying around here. Just as much little tiny details as I possibly can. So in other words, information. Because that information is what's going to help you with the painting process later. Now, one thing you're going to notice about my videos is they're rough cut. They're not edited. They're not redone, shot 5 or 6 times. This is my working studio, so I'm not going to waste time trying to make 5 or 6 different videos because it's got to come out pristine. This is the working process. This is how we all do this. And you know what? I mean, I think that's a better element for you to see than actually trying to see something kind of prettily, something pretty, entertaining, all this kind of stuff. But I wanted to do this one because this is the next step. And if you have a hard time standing, I would probably suggest sitting and doing this. And, just enjoying the process because it's going to take you a while. Now, this is also important for another reason. Because you're learning about this subject in this setting by itself. So the more detail you put in, the more things you're going to remember later. That's also why we go back and re-render with a reference next to us. We don't pull off the transfer. And I'll show you what this does. You can kind of see there. Okay, good. You see the sketch is there. Now if I don't pull that off and I have to add detail, I can do that. So this is an old animator's trick. They would just lift it. They'd be looking here, lift it, and look at that same spot. Do I have all the information there? I'm missing stuff here, but that's the basic sketch. So I wanted to show you that part. So it's kind of a lift and draw process. I'll put that back and go back to my job. Okay. Now this is the same process I use for watercolors too. This isn't acrylic painting only or pastel painting or any of those other things. This is Every medium I work with, I follow the same process of getting imagery down. And there's different ways of getting imagery down. You can do it by this process here, printing it out to the size you want, or you can get a projector and do it that way. I mean, whatever you want to do. But the object being that you just want to get the information down. Okay? Da Vinci did it. Michelangelo did it. Oh, Michael da Vinci was a sketch artist. Yes, he was, but he also had invented a series of lenses. You could actually look at an image and flip it upside down and put the image back in perspective when he did that. So he studied optics too. Michelangelo, on the Sistine, you'll see little tiny pinholes following the line of his work. Why? Because that's part of the fresco process. He would sketch out his distorted image for the fresco, and then he'd have an assistant go around with a needle and just kind of poke holes along the line part, wherever he's doing, and then he'd put this on the wet plaster, the drawing on the wet plaster. Then they'd take a charcoal bag and pound it over top of his line, and when he pulled this off, he actually had the line he wanted. So those are just little tiny things. And like I said, you may not think it's important to put this information in, but you're going to be surprised when you pull this off and you've missed something. And I guarantee you, we all miss something. Now, my suggestion also is that if you're doing this and you're also new at drawing, well, time this. So you start your sketch process, right? And you say, okay. So you don't take it off the tape, you don't remove it from here, but what you do is you type it, say 3 minutes, lift it off, and try sketching in an area using your reference to make sure that just test your drawing ability. And the more you do that, the more you're able to see, the more you're able to do. And you're going to add in things that aren't necessary. You're going to add in things that are necessary. So this process can take a little while. And you definitely want to make sure that as you're doing this, you just take your time. Don't rush through it. It's going to take a little while. But you're going to see the benefit of this when you get ready to paint. You're going to see the benefit of this after you get done. You're going to see the benefit of this after you glaze over top of this and you get your reference and you sit next to it and say, okay, now I can begin. Because remember, this right here is like a blueprint. Once it goes down, unless you just over top of it, this will be the image you're working from. It's like floor plans, all those other things. So anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and stop here, continue the process, and I should be done with this sketch in probably an hour or two.